Good morning.
How are you? Thank you all for joining. I just started the recording as well. And before the session is over, I'm going to drop this link for a survey. Once this session is over, if you guys could do a survey link, I'm going to briefly turn my camera on just for introductions, and then I will turn it off. Good morning. My name is Katina Flagg. I am clinical faculty here with SNU. Been here for 3 years serving as clinical faculty. We host these sessions just to let you all know that there's actually a human um, behind and functioning in these course rooms, and to just offer a little support from the classroom perspective and to discuss the assignment. So this first session is just navigating and asking questions to determine, to see if you're okay. We're now going into week 3 this week. So far, just a temperature check. How are things going? How many of you are in healthcare?
Things are going fine so far. I'm in healthcare as well, so the connection of the work to me is understandable. And it connects to my job, like different things that you go through in healthcare. So it's not easy, but you do learn new things that way.
Yes, most definitely. Okay, so this is just your student view. So this week we'll be starting in module 3. And as you all know, you always go in, you find your instructor resources, you start here. But your module 3 this week, we should be getting into our final project milestones. Have you guys reviewed your uh, guidelines on that yet? So one of the tips right now, when you're looking at your final project milestone, remember the mistake that we often see is that students don't build. So each week, each time you have a different piece of this milestone, you're building on it, right? And you have your prompts. So what I like to see is for you all to include data. That's often the piece that's missing. Data. And you can go out on the internet and research and find data to talk about different PI projects that were put in place, um, or those sorts of things. So what's interesting here is we're talking about the pay for performance requirement for Medicaid, managed care, Medicare, and commercial plans. So that's a big topic today. This, you should have tons of research and tons and tons and tons of information. With the current administration making changes, Becker's Review is a resource that you could find. You hear a lot of conversations and the buzz in healthcare today talking about hospitals shutting down, how much cash on hand they have because of the current administration's changes. So, this research and your paper should be very strong because there's a lot of information in the news, there's a lot of information. Becker's Review, and other resources that can support. And if you work in any type of hospital setting, I'm sure if you have Medicare patients, your finances are being cut. Your current leadership is probably talking about your cash on hand, your accounts receivable. If you haven't paid much attention to that, this would be a good time to start paying attention to that to help you write your paper starting this week. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Any questions or comments about that? I think. Okay, so when you start looking at the revenue cycle, so in this paper for this week, it's 2 sections that you're going to start on: the reimbursement and the revenue cycle, and the departmental impact of the reimbursement. When I'm telling you this is like dead on with everything that's going on, this should be a really, really seamless paper to write. Always include data, graphs, and everything. In some facilities, if you go out there to Becker's Review, they'll tell you 90 days ago, the cash on hand was probably, 500 days, where some organizations now are their cash on hand is 53 days, 23 days. Some organizations are closing units down because of their cash on hand. If you don't understand that piece of the accounts receivable, this would be a really good time for you to study that and incorporate that in your papers. When you look at the patient, the flow of the patient and through the revenue cycle, this is how when the patients come in from registration, well, from the order being written for a procedure to registration to pre-approvals to um, services being rendered to adjudication and denials. So walk that whole process of the patient flow. How are the changes today impacting these patients? Will they still be able to follow that traditional patient flow? Will they need to go to a new organization? What's going to happen with their health care? What's going to happen with their financial reimbursement component? Will they still get the same level of services and treatment? So, those are some of the things that you could dig in and answer the questions, and then know that there's a 10 point to the rev cycle, the revenue cycle. Incorporate those 10 points. And how are these current changes impacting that revenue cycle? Your cash on hand, your accounts receivable, your denials, what units are being closed in organizations. Pick one organization to focus on. And if they're having to close their unit, what's that financial impact? Have you guys started digging in yet?
No, but now that you spoke on that, my company, I work on for the health plan side. I did Medicare for years ago, but then I switched up and I'm on the health plan side, and they recently closing down our Medicare part of it. So now that you're talking, I'm like, oh, they didn't tell us why. So now this is a good research to see, why
Yes.
is it to be closed? But piggyback on what you're saying, the Becky review, is that a website or
Becker's.
can you explain that to me? What it is? Is the Becky review like a website and we get
Yeah,
more
you can
information
go.
on?
Yeah, they talk, Google it really quickly, everyone. And what you'll see is Becker's review. It's like the news for hospitals. It talks about who's closing down, why they're closing down, what their finances are, if they had any compliance issues. It's just a really deep dive of the newspaper for hospitals. It's a good resource. Had you all heard of it before prior to right now?
No, I haven't heard it. This is new. Is it called Becker's Hospital Review?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna look into that later on as I do my
Hmm.
assignments. Thank you for the information.
You're welcome. So you have a lot of foundational component right now, and then departmental impact on reimbursement. So how there are several departments that plays a large role in the reimbursement methodologies. So CDI, coding, the rev cycle. You have front end rev cycle, you have back end rev cycle. There's a lot, you know. So you need to pull all of those. Remember, I just stated it was 10 points in 10 departments in the revenue cycle. So we need to make sure we incorporate all of those and understand those foundational components. And I know it says that your paper, it said must be submitted as a 3 to 4. So not anything less than 3 to 4. I always recommend my students include data because any good paper has data and research to support it. Everything must be in APA format. Does that make sense?
Yes.
If you're not too strong with your APA format, you can go to Purdue OWL. You can also go to our virtual library and get assistance and support. And then also when you go to so if you pull up a Word document and you go to references right here, you can create your citations. So you see where it says style APA and it tells you to insert and it tells you to add a new resource. So you can add it. If you're pulling from a book, it'll help you properly format it. A book section, you see how it changes here. You would just plug in the information in here and it'll help you cite your sources. A journal article, which we should all use scholarly articles and journals. We should not use anything from Wikipedia to complete these assignments. But as you see, the templates are pre-templated for you. See articles in here, conference proceedings, and a report. So you should not have a problem with your APA format because there's resources directly embedded in your Word documents if you aren't familiar with that. And then you can, once you type in your information, it'll format it for you. I'm just going to make up something fake. So you see that it gave us the citation, right? And then if you needed your bibliography, which would be your works cited page. So this is your embodied citation. This is the last page. So you see how I just went there and then like if you want to call it a references, you want to call it works cited, it still formats it properly for you. Did you all know this resource was available? Yes, no, maybe so.
No, I didn't know it was available. Thank you for showing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. So that's another easy way to get your, and it holds it, right? And then if you want to go in there and add a different one, you can. But so then see how it's here. And then if you add another resource, so what was that? A journal article? What? I'm just gonna, now this is like you use two things. You use two resources. Okay, so see, that is, so you see now you have a choice, right? And then now let's do our works cited page. Now you see how it included both of those references. So won't that make your life a lot easier with your APA formatting?
Yes.
100%. Yes.
Natasha said 100%, right? So these are little trips and that tips and tricks, that you can, I could provide, by coming here to just learn a little bit more. So even like if you needed to make a table of content, so go to this reference. If you need your footnotes. So, but the biggest thing that you use right now would be your APA formatting. But these are tools designed and it's free, right? It's right in your platform that you have to help you be um, successful in completing your documentation. So that is one of the things I want to share. And just to go over this today, because we get a lot of questions and we get a lot of people with struggles, right? So remember, in this part of your paper, you're only doing these 2 prompts for the first piece of it because you're going to build, right? It says sections 1 and 2 of your final project. So, and pay attention to the rubric, right? That you're taking a deep dive into this approach. You start your argument in your introduction because then remember you're going to close it. So, what's your topic? What are you going to select to write on? What resources are you going to use? Now that you know how to make your APA a lot easier, you go to those resources, right? So this was what I wanted to share was about this particular assignment today, how to do the introduction, give you a little bit of tools and resources, and then to open it up to see if anyone has questions, comments, or concerns.
I have a question.
Sure.
Um, as I was looking through for the project, it was saying a white paper. Are we building the white paper?
Yes, you are. Okay.
So okay, think down there it says a template. So the template is the white paper. We don't have to.
So your white paper, yeah, let's see. The template should start here. Let me see. Like I'm on the student, yeah, as a student, start here. So here's some more Shapiro Library with your resources. Let me find the template really quickly. Because let me tell you, we put a lot of work into this template to help you all. I just got to remember where we put it. Oh, let me see. We put a lot of work, and that's the reason why I want to like focus on this assignment because tell me, where did you go find the template? Because it's in here.
It's in the modules, isn't it? I think
Yeah, it is, but I can't remember. It's embedded. We put it in here like 3 different places.
I think it was in the.
There it was. It was under the word template.
Mhm.
Okay. So this is basically a format, right? It tells you your introduction. What a problem statement. Briefly discuss the problem within the organization, right? Why can't I get this thing big? So this is your template. You click on that word template and it's going to open up as a Word document. We have your format. It's telling you what the introduction is. It's telling you what your problem statement is. A lot of stakeholders have never written a white paper before and they find it challenging just because it's called a white paper. It feels extremely overwhelming, but it should not be that overwhelming, right? You have the previous options, described here. Then you jump into your revenue cycle, then the departmental impact. So you already have a layout for the white paper and your reference. So this is the first part for your initial assignment because you see you're only focusing on 2 pieces, right? And that's what's in this template. And then as it grows, you'll complete it out. But the white paper is, look up white paper. We also have a definition of a white paper somewhere here.
I think it's on one of the. I thought I saved it. It was on one of the
It's in
reference.
the,
It's in
yeah.
one. I think module one had the like in the reference.
Okay. Yeah, because let me tell we moved it to try and make it more comprehensive for you all.
Yeah,
Okay.
the reading. I think it's in the reading and sources. What is it called? I'm sorry. The resource, the reading resource. I think it's in there.
Here we go. Here, you surely right. Thank you. We moved it and tried to put it in one place, and I had to remember what we moved it to. But thank you. So here's an article. Here's a PDF for the revenue cycle, and then your final project support, how to write your white paper, and then the readings, white paper, the purpose and the audience. So this is important. It's giving you all of like what is a white paper, because a lot of people don't know the purpose of it, who you're writing to. And so when what happens is in professional organizations, you actually have to write a white paper to sell your story or your pitch to executive leadership. And you guys are fortunate enough to get this introduced to you while you're in school. I didn't. And when I had to work on a white paper and it was a group project, I was totally lost. I had no idea what I was doing. But when I was in healthcare working and there was all of us that were in leadership. And I was like, a white paper, man, what is this? It was so overwhelming. So for you guys to get this introduced to you here is great, Um, so it tells you white paper, the organization, and other tips here. And then there's also a PowerPoint presentation for the white paper, but we want it to be an actual written document. So these are additional tools and resources to help support you. And this is from the Purdue OWL, which is a very replicable source. And then this, hold on, it came over to my other screen. I'm trying to move it over. And then this is actually how to write your white paper. So we've given you good resources to help you. So if you utilize these documents and those resources, you should be able to complete a very strong white paper for the first time. So have you guys found this information helpful?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. So this chat will also be available to you. I've also put in the survey link for you guys to complete the survey for us. This is what I really wanted to walk through for this particular session. This is where we get the most challenges. And don't shy away from completing this assignment. It's really not that hard. It's just a different structure of how you write your paper. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Did you feel stressed and overwhelmed thinking about a white paper?
I did because I was like, oh, I never did one before. So yeah, I was. That's why.
Yeah. So do you think kind of like walking through this and seeing that you had a template and understanding these resources, does it feel a little less stressful?
Yes, it's more helpful now that you explained it, and then we have the template, and then we have also the document to see what's it for, and like you said, it's helpful for me.
Yeah. And then, now you can also use the Word document for your APA formatting as well. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to share today. And I'll leave this last 5 minutes for question and answers. And if you don't have anything else, I want to say thanks for joining this session. And then the next section, I think, is on June the 3rd. So you can join us back then. Nothing else. Thank you. And y'all have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
You
Thank you.
too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.